Hello there, and welcome to the I'll Try That podcast. I believe this will be the first one of the year because we're recording on January 2nd.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Bear.
I'm assuming you boys had rip-raging rages of New Year's.
Naturally.
Off the hook.
I was up to like, oh God, what was it, like 11:52, something like that? Yeah, mad.
No, I had a very quiet one, that's for sure. It was nice. Well, my wife, heavily pregnant wife, young puppy, not a potent combination for all-night rages through the new year.
What about you, Travers?
I drank dark and stormy cocktails and a magnum of red wine, may I say.
Ooh,
not just a bottle of a magnum of very nice red wine given to me by my uncle, and then was tucked up in bed with Rolly the greyhound snoring next to me. So yeah, not exactly the exciting New Year's I used to have.
Sounds spot on, I reckon.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the podcast. So this week we are trying the blonde beer. Le Chouffe? Is that Chouffe? How do you pronounce that? Am I pronouncing it wrong? Le Chouffe?
I've heard Le Chouffe before, but I think I think Le Chouffe might be the one.
Yeah, let's go with Le Chouffe.
Le Chouffe is feminine after all.
Le Chouffe the blonde beer, and I can't even. You can tell I've done my research. Where's it from?
Belgium.
There we go. The Belgian blonde beer, Le Chouffe.
He's looking forward to it.
Yeah. But first, we've got the hot topic. I'll hand you over to Mr. Barber.
Thanks, Travers. A short one today, really, and just a bit sad. I mean, obviously, you guys and the whole world will see a lot of the news that come into Gloucestershire Live. And that sort of thing. But no, just a bit of a sad one. A lovely old pub in my neck of the woods is closed. The Air Balloon, to make way for a very exciting £460 million road scheme, just to ease congestion around the A417. So, I mean, every cloud and that sort of thing. But no, just quite a historic, iconic pub has been lost. The Air Balloon pub in Birdlip, which I understand opened its doors in 1784, and it served its last pint on New Year's Eve. And actually, I heard because there was news of the closure, the place is absolutely inundated. I hear they ran out of several drafts, including Guinness. But almost a bit of a shame that it was only on hearing that it was closing, that they sort of flooded in. But yeah, no, they've closed their doors to make way for a new road. I mean, to be fair, the road
for a new road.
Yeah, well, it's a really, really annoying junction, and it's basically the way if you are from quite a big chunk of Gloucestershire and you want to go towards London, that's the one to go for, and it always ends up going wrong, particularly as probably will have seen when there's like bad ice and snow and that sort of thing. So it's a bit of a shame. But yeah, it's been going 1784. I mean, it's not going to be the oldest in the world, but yeah, a bit of heritage going sadly down the pan.
From what I remember, the view from there is phenomenal. If I'm thinking of the one I'm thinking of, up near Cirencester way. It's the way that links
Cheltenham, Gloucester, and Cirencester. And
I know it. We used to go around it on that roundabout. Yeah.
You would have been past it enough times. Yeah. Sort of
There's always a traffic jam going up and around there, though. There's always a bit of a blockage going on. Some HGV lorry that's trying to take that roundabout a little bit too acute, and it's kind of got stuck, in that kind of corner.
Yeah.
So on the upside, there'll be less congestion.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to, I don't know, presumably get home a little bit quicker and go to your local? That's not trying to make it like a...
No, it's a shame, though. It's obviously because, as you said, it's been around for a long time. And I'd imagine as they kept passing this pub on from generation to landlord to different hands, they didn't think it would be being passed over to basically be demolished for a new road. That's probably the saddest part of this. But, for the current custodians of the said pub, probably a nice payout, I'd imagine, for the said, landlords who are kind of getting all this money for, setting up the pub for the road.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? It was definitely one of those pubs that I would drive past and go, I should go there. And I can only imagine the amount of people that have said that.
Is right in the middle. Is dog walking central round dog walking central around there as well. So it is a perfect one for Sunday afternoon. You go up Crickley Hill, which is next door, and then you stop off on the way home. Is a bit spot on. But sadly can't do it anymore.
Sounds like there's begging to have another opportunity for another pub to be set up nearby.
I should add, there's been like a little group of, I think, fans of the pub who are looking at trying to sort of relocate it to nearby, to no avail so far as I'm aware. But I'm sure they'll keep trying anyway.
No, it's sad things, but obviously, there's a reason for these things to happen. It's a shame that it's getting done under a road, obviously. I mean, you hear about these stories of, infrastructure projects or town planning that there's just that one holdout, like building or person that doesn't want to sell their house. And so they have skyscrapers built around their house. It's just like their house. And I saw this great bit of video of, I think it was like in Poland or somewhere like that, in somewhere Eastern Europe. And basically it was like some big tower block. Someone had like taken a video outside their new swanky tower block, and there's a farmer in a combine harvester going down the middle of between all the buildings, because he basically refused to sell this spit of land and still grew crops on it.
sounds believable, actually, doesn't it? I suppose.
No, I like that.
All right, well, let's go on to something that has been around for a little while, but not as long as the 1600s, as you were saying about that pub, Barber. Let's talk about La Chouffe.
La Chouffe.
La Chouffe.
La Chouffe.
From La Chouffe, from the Ardennes in Belgium.
Nice part of the world, that.
It's a lovely. I'd love to go sometime. Apparently, a very thicket forest in the Ardennes.
I'm not clear. Just to say, from an early standpoint, is the Ardennes like a wash with garden gnomes? Is that that's what I'm trying to suss out about the Chouffe, is that it's all about gnomes. Why are there so many gnomes? And like the brewers themselves they're not actually gnomes, but fancy themselves as gnomes.
It's instead of the Christmas elves, it's the forest gnomes in the Ardennes making beer.
Yeah, I'm finding it a bit strange.
Just a quick side note, but just more. I learned about an interesting company that involves gnomes, like very recently. Have you guys ever heard of gnoming?
No.
I don't think I want to.
No, it's fine. So there's a company that you can pay, and you can give them an address of somebody you know, or in some circumstances somebody you don't like, and they will fill the garden full of gnomes.
Oh, I have heard about this, yeah. I thought at first you were going to say it's a company that will turn you into a gnome. Not like change your DNA.
After you passed away. Yes, your ashes. Yeah, I got you.
I mean, like how people caricature themselves. I thought you could get like a little gnome to have in your garden to, guard your garden against wolves or something.
Are gnomes known for protecting against wolves?
Well, they can be pretty feisty, but no, probably not.
No. Also, is there a wolf problem in Cheltenham?
Like you wouldn't believe. Wolves and owls mainly.
Wolves and owls.
So swinging back onto gnomes, I've got a bit of a reasoning why gnomes are all plastered all over this brand. So this is coming from an interview with Chris, who is Chris Bauerwerts.
Yeah, have a good luck with that one, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably more your
Bauerwerts.
Bauerwerts. Proper Belgian name, that one. Anyway, so he was saying that he was looking on TV. This is back in the 1982 when they set up the brewery, the Brasserie de Chouffe, which is started out in 1982, as I said. There's two business partners, Chris and Pierre Gabron. I can say Gabron, Pierre Gabron. So there you go. Anyway, so Chris basically says that there was they were getting a good reputation when they were kind of creating their beer, but they didn't really have anything kind of like, they were starting to export it a bit further afield. Like it got quite a lot of popularity in the Netherlands, which then got further afield into like the US, and then started getting really popular in Belgium. So they then decided that obviously they could stick a label on their beers, actually kind of brand it themselves. And, but they didn't have any idea about what to put it on there. So, he felt that he was kind of, he saw that there was a neighborhood village that was hosting an auction with all the proceeds going towards like a victims of a fire. And it was on TV, and there was basically a painting of a gnome that flashed across the screen. And that was it. he saw the potential in it, and that was the icon. That's where the gnome idea comes from. It's basically from a painting that was flashed on the screen as an auction.
This is too much of an assumption from me. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Anyone wondering, Le Chouffe is gnome. But I don't know. Is it in French or is it in Flemish or something? Beg your pardon. I think it might be French, but it's like a gnome
It's
or
gotta
an
be
elf
French, yeah.
or a...
All right, I was going to say, I was hoping for more of a magical story that he was once out in the woods drinking a beer and he saw a gnome and then was like, shared the beer with the gnome. And they were like, yeah.
The gnome said in his, "Oh, you should make beer," or something like that, because that's what they sound like.
What do you reckon is the name of the gnome? Because obviously the gnome has a name.
Chouffe?
I think
Chouffe? Okay.
I think I know this. And isn't there more than one gnome? Is the main? I did one of the gnome. I'm fairly sure one of the gnomes is called Marcel.
That's the original gnome. You're right. April 1983, Marcel came into existence.
OG original gnome. Marcel. That shouldn't make me laugh that much. But there are other gnomes, as I'm told, and I think are the other gnomes loosely
On other bottles.
loosely
Yes.
associated. So, is there a Marceline? I think, which is the lady version
gnome?
of Marcel.
Right.
Yeah, check it
There you
out. I'm sure I've got a job out, but I've got a list of them somewhere, so it will actually
Go
look
on.
like we've done.
Find us the list of gnomes, because there's plenty of different bottles here.
It's going to end up making us look like we have done research for a change.
So the one we're having right now is their 40th Chouffe, right? So it's the blonde, it's their kind of like staple beer, their blonde Belgian beer, the one that is called La Chouffe. But they have others.
If you say the name of the Chouffe, I'll tell you what its name is. If it's, I've forgot. There's only 4, but
So we've got Chouffe 40. Is their birthday blonde beer. That's got a whole host of gnomes. I think that's all the gnomes at once on that one. So I'll give you a curveball at the start there, Barber. So let's not do that one to start. Right. They've got an alcohol-free one called Chouffe Alcohol Free. That looks to have Marcel on it, actually.
yes, I don't have a specific name.
Okay.
That must be Marcel. Marcel.
We've got a cherry Chouffe, which has Marcel, and it also has, who was the female?
Micheline, not Marceline. Micheline. I knew I got it from somewhere.
It's nice to see they got creative with the names then.
Yes, exactly.
Marshall.
Thinking left field.
Yeah, Micheline. Yeah.
So that's that cherry Chouffe, as you can imagine, is a cherry tasting Belgian beer. They've got the Houblon Chouffe, which is their Belgian IPA. That is also Marcel on there.
No,
They've got,
no,
oh,
it
it's
isn't.
not. Oh.
Houblon Chouffe is Matthew.
Ooh.
What an outstandingly good name that is. The Houblon is clearly the one everyone wants.
Yeah.
Sorry, that sounds so awful.
Yeah. Houblon and then Matthew the accountant one.
Matthew the accountant. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
It's all right.
Okay, so the MC Chouffe, the dark Belgian beer, who's that on there?
Well, the way I've seen that written down is Muck Chouffe rather than MC Chouffe. I quite like the gangster rap vibe.
Yes, I see it. He just freestyles
But,
whenever you're talking to him.
Yeah,
I just thought maybe I'd get a call from some big fast food corporation. Yeah.
Yes.
So the either Scottish or rapper Chouffe is Malcolm.
Malcolm.
And I'm
nice.
thinking that might be because Malcolm, I think, is a Scottish name, isn't it? So that's what's making
So
me
that
maybe
would be,
think
that's
Muck
that's more. Yeah,
more
yeah,
an
yeah.
MC Chouffe.
Yeah, it's not Dre.
That's it.
No.
What is Muck Chouffe then? Muck Chouffe.
I don't know.
It's just all the leftovers.
Yeah, it's a dark Belgian beer. Okay, what's the Chouffe Blanche? Who's on the Chouffe Blanche? This is the Belgian white beer.
Oh, I'm on blonde rather than blanche.
Oh wait, the Houblon Chouffe Chouelle. Chouffe Blanche, Belgian wheat beer.
Can I do a side note also, because I know I've spotted that Chouffe do one, and I think we've mentioned it a few times in the past. I think we need to get hold of a bock
Yes.
and do
Love
a
a bock.
bock. Or a bock or a double bock. Double bock?
Doppelbock. I always associate bocks with South Africa. because of that,
Spring
super box, which is quite very big, and the box, yeah. But obviously, it makes sense that it's got Dutch and Belgian kind of like heritage, hasn't it, in South Africa and roots. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I quite like Super Bock actually. That is a different kind of beer because that's more like a lager, though, isn't it? But I think it's different from an actual bock, if that makes sense. So, well, there you go. Enjoy that bit of tidbit.
So what are we getting with the notes of the beer? What are we seeing, gents, with this beer?
Do you know what? Let's have a little taste, and I'll tell you what I think.
Travis, you've got to be chuffing on. You've got to be chuffing on this choff right now.
I'm quite enjoying this choff. I'm not going to lie. It's very citrusy, and I am getting I'm getting the wheaty taste coming through as well. A little bit wheaty.
What you refer to as the wheaty taste is the thing that I sometimes think makes me. I think like honey-ish a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's got it kind of
honey-ish.
Yeah, I that sounds really stupid, but because those two things aren't linked as far as I'm aware. But it's almost like got that kind of sweet, like a little bit creamy type going in the background. Tell me I'm saying the right thing.
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's what you get with these blonde beers that are like re-fermented. It's that re-fermentation where they add that extra bit of sugar or yeast just before bottling. So add that extra, the re-fermenting basically. So yeah, that is why we're chomping down on an 8% ABV right now. This has gone through 2 layers of fermentation. The first brew and then the second just before bottling. So yeah, this is a punchy one to start the evening off, but gents.
I was looking on it, and this gnome's riding a unicycle, isn't he?
Oh, which one are you?
So that's
consuming?
the blonde. That I've got the blonde.
I've got the 40. I've got this one.
Okay, yes.
So I figured the 40 is that the 40th anniversary of the blonde.
I thought this was the blonde. It says blonde Belgian beer.
Yeah. I think you've just got the one you've bought out of a
different label.
The batch that's got the right, or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying something like that.
A limited edition.
There you
But
go.
but I was just reading about things that happen when you drink Le Chouffe beer on their website. And it says makes unicycling easier.
Unicycling is not straightforward, I must say. Sounds like the sort of thing actually you'd be able to do, Travis. Have you ever had a go on a unicycle?
I have had a go on a unicycle. I can't do it. Unfortunately, it's not
straightforward, is it?
Oh, I've got the name.
I did try a unicycle which had a flat tire. That didn't go well.
That's even harder.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
I think I'd like a unicycle.
That is a great way to, as well as your newfound rollerblading habit of breaking both your wrists at the same time. I think both of those things can happen. Rollerblading and unicycling.
Yeah, it would make a great story, though.
That is true, especially if you've got La Chouffe on the,
Le Chouffe on the way
at the end. Yeah. So, how do you reckon this La Chouffe Belgian beer should be served? What's the serving recommendation?
It's got to be almost in like one of those like dumpy, broad glasses. But I'm having it out of a tulip because that's the nearest I can manage.
You spot on, Barber. It's meant to be from a tulip.
Oh, okay. There you go. Serves me right. Sometimes my tulip is. I could almost see it like being. It needs to be like a fatter one than that. It was always one of those beers that I seem to see racked up next to wherever it was that I was. I always seem to see it stacked up next to Quack. That one with the wooden handle. It's like a glass, and you always had it out. The glass is held by the wooden thing.
I love that. I love a Quack.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that I would have thought this is maybe like chilled, but maybe not like as straight out of the fridge as like 5 degrees, something like that. I'm guessing it should be like 5 to 10 for a serving.
Yeah, it says 6 to 10 is the serving recommendation.
Get me,
Barber.
There you go.
It's a thing. Do you know what I wanted to call it? It's like a thinking beer, isn't it? That's not a phrase that anyone's
ever. What do you mean? Explain your thinking.
It's not a drink. It's not a drinker. It's a thinker.
Oh,
you're not having this while you're not having it while you're having a big beer sesh, are you? It's that kind of 7 o'clock. aperitif style. And it's almost like, so actually I think I read also this is like down to the fact that before they only ever did 75 centilitre bottles, and it's one that you then go and pour. I just said it's like not one you have in a beer drinking session, but it's like when you have
with other people.
With other people.
Yeah, exactly. And then you all just gather around and have sensible conversation about it. Or other things.
Do you know what other beers are quite like? Name me another beer that's quite like that, gents. That's quite like a bit of a sipping. It's also at Belgium.
Is it Duvel?
Spot on.
Oh, go on.
Duvel.
Yeah, I was thinking that one too.
Now, what is the connection between Le Chouffe and Duvel?
Gnomes run their operation.
They've always been at war with each other.
The gnomes were at war together, yeah. I think Duvel are known for their war.
The gnomes versus, because the Duvel was the devil, wasn't it? And it's a sort of Lord of the Rings style battle for middle
Belgium.
Europe.
Well, the connection between Le Chouffe and Duvel is that Duvel Mortgard bought Brasserie de Chouffe, who own this beer and these beers, in 2006. So they are the owners of La Chouffe.
And then I think that must have had the impact on the distribution rights, because I think this smaller bottle that we're having now only started in like 2009.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely. I don't think they're two separate things, Barber. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think they're definitely together. But also as well, they currently went from making from the first ever kind of brews they made was out of a cowshed in the Ardennes. That's how they started out, to then making 125,000 hectolitres per annum. So it's a serious jump.
It's honestly like someone's garage, and there's a picture of it, and I'm a little bit like, I'm glad I'm not drinking something from in that garage. To be, I don't want to be too snobby, but yeah, it looks rustic, I think is the word.
So I'm just looking on their website and they do a brewery tour, and I'm just looking at their brewery and it looks fantastic, and I think we should go.
I think we should do a Belgium. I've always wanted to go to Cologne with you boys to experience the Cologne style of drinking beers in bars where you have to kind of cover off your mat if you don't want to have any more poured into it, but. There's other obviously countries we should be going together and doing a bit of a tour of breweries and episodes and taking around. So these beers usually come with some level of kind of food pairing. Do you want to give me what do you think this is going to be paired well with?
Fish.
Yeah. Fish. We've got salmon, tuna here, lobster, mussels, spicy sushi.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. That's just made me quite hungry.
Camembert.
They don't talk about cheese. No, afraid not.
I was thinking they've got one, because I guess you're talking about blonde, isn't it? I bet they've got one that does go well with Camembert, haven't they?
Oh, actually, sorry, Travis, I completely disregarded you there. Unpasteurized cow's cheese. Yes.
There we go, yeah. Yeah. Bosh.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Well done. Last thoughts on La Chouffe before I do the numbers?
Yeah, good Belgian option.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would put out there that I'm not that good at, if you put me in front of Le Chouffe and Deville, whatever it was called, and I'm just trying to think of some of those Dutch ones as well. Yeah, Quack, and some of that. I might not be able to say, well, I wouldn't have that one, I'd have this one. But it is that, it's one of my thinkers for every now and then.
What do you think, Drabs? Do you think you could tell the difference between those that Barber just listed?
Probably not, in all honesty. Blonde beer tastes very similar to me across the board.
I feel like I'm slowly getting there. It's not something we've grown up on, right? We've grown up on lagers, which is why we can tell the difference between Carling and Foster's. It's very similar, but we can taste the difference between those two lagers.
I really struggle
from the UK
because I just assume they're both water, and it's
but honestly, I'm slowly getting there because a friend of mine is a big fan of Belgian beers. So I've gone out of my way to, whenever we meet up, we go to some fantastic Belgian bars in London. And there's one actually opened up in Worcester, Grabbers, which we'll go to when we're next there together. Oh, okay. Which is the first time I had a Quack, which was which was fantastic. So long story short, I'm slowly getting there. And I think this La Chouffe is a banger. I'm a fan that I can get this like down at my local Tesco's and supermarkets, and I can pick this up because I'm quite enjoying this.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a lot more accessible than the 8% suggests, but also I suppose to qualify what I was just saying then, actually, because we're used to the lagers here, we probably actually should be in a fairly good position to actually tell the difference between these things, which are kind of stronger and you have in smaller quantities and that sort of thing. But I think actually possibly my problem, or maybe mine and Drabber's, maybe what we need to go and do is actually go and try a couple of them together and taste and compare and contrast.
I think you've hit on there something, Barbara. It's really like, it's the way that we consume our beer. It has to be like, we have to change our mindset when we come to these beers, these Belgian beers. It can't be we're having sessionable. You talked about it earlier on. These aren't sessionable beers. You can't be there expecting to drink, go through 3 or 4, with a couple of mates. You need to be, passing a glass or like pouring a bottle out between glasses between friends, and just sampling it that way.
Agreed.
So numbers wise, they don't have Instagram and Twitter linked from their website. I'll go and have a look for those in a second. But what I can give you...
Their posts have got to be like written on scrolls or something, haven't they? And passed by like carrier pigeon. I think these guys...
But they're only from 1982, so it's not that long ago, really. It kind of gives you the quirkiness of their kind of branding. It does definitely need an update. Yeah. But basically, they've got a Facebook page which has a 4.8 star rating and 359 reviews of the brewery.
Oh, nice.
And they also, which I was more interested in, is a Spotify where you can follow their different. I'm going to link it to you now in the chat. And they have basically all these different kind of playlists for different times of year, all with the gnomes,
Love
which
that.
I just thought was hilarious.
I think, wasn't it? It was the Union beer did that as well.
Yes.
I really like that because they had one of their beers named after days of the week, and then they had playlists for days of the week.
Yes, totally. And then that was the playlist that you listened to on that day. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
So, they don't have an Instagram, and I presume that's going to be the same thing for Twitter.
You'd have thought. Yeah.
They do have a La Chouffe gnome on Twitter that has 1,310, but I don't know if this is an official La Chouffe. It looks pretty official, but it also could just be the ramblings of someone who really likes La Chouffe. So, there's basically photos of gnomes in random places of the world that's tagged them in it. So that might be what it is. And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe,
Rich,
Barber,
and Simo,
goodbye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
I'll try that podcast.com,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.